Yo, what's up, Raptor fans? I'm hosting tonight. It's been a while. Adon Moss here with my main man, Kyle. What's up, Kyle?
That's good. I like. Are you debuting a new intro, like Twitch only intro?
Yeah, I feel like I got a free roll. I can just kind of go with whatever I want here. But really, every time's an experiment. We just watched the Toronto Raptors squeeze out a win against the Miami Heat. I mean, the second half, we won the second half by 16, so it felt like a thump, but it was actually we just squeezed this one out. Toronto Raptors send a commanding message to the Eastern Conference, just throttling the Miami Heat, particularly in the second half, and squeezing this one out. Thoughts, Kyle?
Yeah, it was interesting. It felt like the Raptors had been outplayed for the first half at least, probably the first three quarters, and yet it was like a 4 or 5 point game going into the fourth quarter. They just hung around, and all of a sudden they took off. And then similarly at the end there, really close to choking that. Like would have been an all-time choke had Tyler Hero like maybe had a 4 point play, something of that nature. Like it
Yeah, it
seemed
almost
like the
looked like it.
Raptors are getting set up for like an all-time choke. But they pulled it out. Good win against what is I guess the number one team in the East, but based on record at least.
These are the kind of wins that you can kind of like look at as where you forged into your metal into steel. This was. It felt like this. It's on the back to back. On a back to back, we've played like a bazillion minutes in the last 4 games. This made sense that we would just let this one go, right? Like we're down a dozen at half. The boys are obviously tired. They were in and out of focus, especially in the first quarter. They were just like really lackadaisical. It's like, okay, like let's just bring out the bench unit and squander this one. Kind of like what the Heat did yesterday against Boston. And instead you get this brand new, like locked in, playoff focused team. Third quarter Raptors do it again. They win that quarter by 9. Like it's insane. And then in the fourth quarter, I mean, they scored more in the fourth, but it felt like the fourth quarter we really just took this commanding lead and dictated everything. Other than Bam Adebayo, like there wasn't really much the Heat could do.
Yeah, and I got to say, like I have it in my notes here. Bam is just incredible. I mean, what a game from Bam. Uh, that's the whole other note. But I was thinking, I'm not sure if this is necessarily a sign, and I don't want to be too much of a downer here, but I'm not sure if this is necessarily a sign of the Raptors are like elevating to top of the East level, or if the Heat are just a really good matchup for them, because like the Heat let the Raptors play their best five, which was the closing lineup tonight. It was like that Siakam, OG, Barnes, Gary, and Fred lineup, and they can survive against the Heat. Like Bam is going to get his like he did tonight against that lineup, but in general, like they're just so switchy. There's so much length everywhere defensively that they can really like make a lot happen against the Heat. I worry that those matchups with the maybe Embiid or other Eastern Conference powerhouses, like whether or not they match up as well. But we can look forward maybe later.
See, well, on that note, quickly, I actually think the opposite. Like, I feel like the Heat are built to solve a team like ours. Like, Adebayo can switch 2 through 5. Jimmy can guard everybody. PJ can guard almost everybody. The only thing is if I were Miami, I would be worried. Although you have Lowry in that 5th spot, which really helps. But we've played Robinson off the floor all 3 games. And they've had to go to Strus because he's a little bit chunkier and he can handle like the bodies down low. But it's a big problem for them, and I'd be interested to see what they do the trade deadline to resolve that. And Hero, same thing. Like he's a little shrimp when you throw him up against some of our guys, and we've really exploited that. So
Fred was like pushing around Tyler Hero, which is
yeah.
strange to see. Like Fred was like bullying, big bodying Tyler Hero, which is like that can't be. As a Heat fan, that's got to hurt.
Yeah. So I mean that's definitely concerning, and like I'm just looking at the field goal attempts. Robinson was 1 for 6. Vincent was 1 for 6. Strus was 3 for 7, and Jimmy was 3 for 10. So we really just like we rendered their backcourt, useless. And Jimmy has those. Jimmy never has those games. I was just gonna say that Jimmy never has those games against us where he disappears. He does have those generally where he kind of defers too much. This was one of them where he just kind of really slipped away into the ether. And Gabe Vincent destroyed us last time, and he was just kind of off. And part of that was foul trouble. I think we did a better job, like making it harder on him physically. And so, yeah, I think so. I think this cuts both ways. Who do you want to talk about first? I
We got to
think
go with
maybe
Gary.
what's
We
that,
got to go
Gary?
with Gary,
Yeah.
right?
Okay. Yeah.
Just like another incredible shot making performance. And I got to say, the two of us, we've like at least amongst like our contemporaries here, the wrap up, we've always been pro Gary regardless of the shooting numbers.
Yeah.
Like he's just fun to watch, and the Raptors need that type of guy. And then streaky players are exactly that. They're streaky. They're going to go on shooting streaks like this. And Gary's like, what is it? 30 plus in 5 straight games, 6 straight games, something like
That's the
that.
record.
5 straight
Yeah.
30 plus games. Like he is playing out of his mind. And it's like in all, I guess, in every level, like meaning defensively, offensively, he's at the highest level. In transition, he hustles for loose balls. Like he's kind of that guy. Like I'm really shocked to see. Like I I knew when the Powell trade happened, I figured this could be something that he evolves into in like 5 or 6 years, but it's been like 8 months, or I guess 12 months, I should say now, and it's like he's a completely different player.
Yeah, and the added part, we talked about this yesterday, like the added part about Gary is that like whether he misses or not, and he hasn't been missing, so it's not even a problem. I mean, he shot a much more efficient game tonight. Like he is honed in. But the other part of him is that edge. He has a swagger. He's a little bit whiny, but he's also like, I don't give a fuck. And like
Mm.
if you hit 2 threes in a row and then you're just chirping PJ Tucker, who's top 10 tough dudes in the league, like that that that's the kind of intangible like hardness that you want in your team, and you know that he wants the moment. And I think that's what's been impressing me about this team generally is everybody wants the moment. No one's really backing down from it. OG again has like kind of come through in the clutch. We know Freddie can. Pascal's been a lot more like headier, or like he's been smarter coming down the stretch, and Gary obviously wants it all the time, and Scotty too. So like I think that kind of resilience in late game is something that's refreshing with this young team.
Yeah, Gary's like everyone's played with a guy in pickup like Gary, where it's like he's
Yeah,
talking shit to the other team, and it's like, oh, this guy's kind of a dickhead, but it's like you love
yeah.
him. He's
It's
so
like,
fun.
dude, you're 2 for 13. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
Or
but
he's
it's
like
so
seven
fun.
for
And
nine, right?
honestly, like I think Oren was tweeting about it. Like the spacing on this team leads to some pretty ugly basketball, and it's just like a breath of fresh air to see a guy just like cook. Who cares? Go ahead, cook. I don't really like. I don't care if he goes 2 for 13 some nights. It's just nice to watch. Sometimes I'm really only concerned with the aesthetic
Yeah.
qualities of this game.
Well, and even like this is extra special, and I think we'll need this if we actually want to do something for real in playoffs, which we can talk about in a little bit. But the very least, that corner release valve on the weak side, him and OG are hitting at a more consistent rate, and that just like exponentially opens up the floor. Like you can't have the guy cheating on the weak side anymore, and it's going to let Pascal do his business one-on-one, or OG post up, or Scotty post up, like whoever. And so having that added element from the perimeter is just like a world of a difference.
Should we talk about OG? I was really impressed. Like I found and we've talked about it before. It's like his biggest deficiency is that he tries to do too much off the dribble, and he stayed really within himself tonight.
Mhm.
Like he had some late shot clock, dribble pull ups that actually went in, but he just in general got his points in transition, had a couple post ups, and then just like yammed on Jimmy Butler in such an like so in the ball like smacked him in the head too. It was like that would if there was any fans in the building, that would have been an all time poster. It's a shame that like they should have been pumping some noise in or something. They ruined a highlight.
Yeah,
It
we
was a
would have
little too
gone wild.
quiet.
Apparently, Drake went wild. Not that anybody cares. Oh my god,
Oh
that's
man.
so
And he
nasty.
like climbs him. Like he just
Yeah,
like bulldozes right through him, climbs his body to the
this
rim. Like that is ooh.
and like he doesn't do anything special here. Like he just turns a corner, and like that's what I'm talking about with Hero. Like that's just not good defense.
Mhm. It's a
But
guy who's like
he did
pretty
have some
lost.
dumb turnovers. OG like some that I'm not like not used to seeing him do. I think he had two from like top of the 3 point line, like wing entry that just got turned over. Um, so a couple of unusual turnovers. He had his classic like fall to his knee on a drive, but he got it out to Pascal in the corner. Like OG at least once a game now is toppling over as a result of just like losing balance or whatever. But yeah, I mean, 60% shooting, um, a couple of like big time steals or one steal, but a couple of big time plays. Like yeah, I mean, you can't complain. I love to see it. What did you think about Freddy's game?
Yeah, kind of nothing. Like just sort of not really a memorable performance. I thought he played well and within himself, and he as usual like kind of really steadied things in the fourth quarter. Like he's just that calming presence, but not really not really an exceptional performance in terms of like I think he's I guess I should say he's overshadowed by Gary at this point in terms of like Gary has taken that role of like the late game ISO guard scorer. So like Fred, one of the quietest 21 was it 21 4 and 6s I've ever seen. Like I really didn't notice him as much as I did Gary.
Yeah, the good thing about Fred is he's really assuming the role as floor commander, which I really like. Like he told Scotty to straighten out when he was getting all riled up, and like he's dictated the tempo. 11 free throws is a lot for him. I think he was fouled on like two or three 3 point shots, which helped. But him getting to the line like that is great, and just another all around great game. Like three steals and a block, 6 assists, like 5 for 11 is
I'm not trying
not
to downplay it.
terrible.
It's just like I'm just accustomed to it at this point. That's just like a
I know,
standard Freddie game.
I know. Um, Chris, you want to show us that clip?
Yeah, this was awesome. This was awesome. I love seeing Jimmy Butler mad. I like I honestly really don't like that guy.
What? I love Jimmy Butler.
I thought the stuff he did in Minnesota was badass, but I've never seen a guy talk so much and win so little. Like 1-0 ever and talks like he's like Michael Jordan. I don't know. It's not for
I
me.
mean, he went to the finals,
Yeah. Okay. Good for him.
but I know what you mean. This is the clip. Yeah, he strips. I've wanted to write about Fred's arms. Like it's his hand-eye coordination for sure, like incredible stripping ability, but his like I wanted to know like what his I don't know, I don't even know what muscle group that is, but like his arm strength is just incredible. Like he rips balls out, he strips balls so easily and quickly. It's like something quite fascinates me.
Yeah, and it's like kind of like it's like a really good boxer. It's like maybe not even the strength, more like the precision. It's just like when you see like Floyd Mayweather box, he just like he's not punching the hardest, but he just hits every shot so accurately. That's like Freddie. For
Yeah.
he doesn't necessarily seem that strong, but everything is so quick, and he seems to just like always get the ball and like
Yeah.
smack in the middle of the ball.
It's quite phenomenal. And on that point of Freddie's defense, like I thought it was clutch defense tonight was like really great, and it was came from Fred and Pascal, and like that's kind of what you also want to see from your top two guys is that they're locking in and they're playing defense. Like Pascal had a couple of really good possessions on Bam late. Freddie got in there with Jimmy. Like that's the kind of stuff you also want to see, and that's why I feel like this game was kind of like again, that game you can reflect on retroactively and be like, or retrospectively, and like this was a big one for us.
Yeah, this is a big little stretch on big little. This is a big stretch for Toronto here though. Like those 2 wins against the Heat are going to be um crucial going forward. Like we were talking about the trade deadline and we will later this week. We're going to have a show coming up, but in general, like the Raptors are at a point where they're deciding whether they can compete with the best teams in the East, whether or not they should be buyers or sellers, etc. And they're they look like they should be buyers, frankly, at least against this Heat team. Look like they should be buying as aggressively as possible.
Yeah, does that mean, I know we shouldn't get into it, but you can't really help it. Like, does that mean you keep Boucher?
I was and we'll talk about this more, but like I've kind of looked into the lineup data, and like a lot of the Raptors' best lineups have Boucher in it, like a non-starter lineups, like non that lineup we just spoke about, and it's like I'm not sure if I don't even know what you get back from Boucher that makes it worth giving Boucher up. Like he's good. He's a good player. Maybe in like the similar to like the Norman Powell deal where you get a guy who's like slightly worse but younger and is going to cost less money. But I can't think of off the top of my head who someone would like that would be. Marvin Bagley. What's the price for Marvin Bagley? That type of thing.
He had a very unnoticeable box score: 1 for 3, 3 rebounds, a block. But he is the sixth guy, and I mean tonight maybe the sixth guy was Precious, but yeah, Boucher seems to be like the one guy we can rely on that's giving us consistent minutes outside of the starters, and it's just like if we're playing like this, you don't really want to disrupt that, even if we risk losing him at the end of the season. And on that note, Precious 5 for 7, 2 for 3 from 3. That corner 3 was big. A block, a steal, a couple of knucklehead plays again, like the one where him and OG look at each other. OG is like, I got it. Like in his eyes, I can see that. He can see that. It's like Precious has acknowledged that OG has the ball and then proceeds to rip it out of his hands. It's just like his thinking process sometimes, man. It's hilarious.
That's my issue with it's like, okay, he might profile physically similarly to Bam Adebayo, and they came in the same system, et cetera. But like Bam, from his first moments on the floor, was like a guy who was primarily incredibly intelligent and didn't have much of an offensive game beyond that. Beyond being like a really good defender and incredibly smart. Like I don't really see that in Precious. Precious is a great athlete, but like his feel is like an all-time low. And he had a great game. Like it's someone mentioned that he needs to visualize every team in a Heat jersey. I agree. Him and Bam clearly have some sort of something going on because they do not like each other. We spoke about this last time. They're like, there's some Nigerian beef, Team
You don't
Nigeria
think
beef
so?
going on.
Do you think they don't like each other?
I don't know. You might not have been on. Like, Bam, like Precious played for Team Nigeria. Bam's of Nigerian descent, chose not to play for Team Nigeria. They, presumably they share a lot in common. They're drafted on the same team. They would be good friends. They didn't dap each other up after the game. They don't seem particularly chummy on the court. Like, seems like a situation where they should be the best of friends. Like, I don't know.
Interesting.
It seems like there's something weird going on. That's my
I
read.
want to get some
But again, like
reporting
I'm
on
just
this.
playing body language doctor. I've got no,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
this isn't sourced at
Yeah,
all.
yeah. I like it. I love the drama. Although there's a couple of Nigerian players on that team, though, so I wonder what those dynamics are. Although a guy like Gabe Vincent's just lucky to play on any national team.
Mm.
Um, 4 minutes from Champagny, 7 minutes from Banton. The Banton minutes were much better. What I really love about Banton is he's always trying to crisscross the top of the key there. Like someone mentioned it, he had a nice little high post entry to Pascal, who finally hit that little teardrop. Man, Pascal really struggled with his shot early. A lot of missed gimmies.
Yeah, and
But
just a weird game early as well. Like he was in foul trouble. It was just like a slow start for a guy playing a lot of minutes. So
yeah,
what happens?
it was like old Siakam where like those like bunnies were just not going for him. What was he in the first half? He was 2 for 7. Just had a really unshiny, and then 3 for 7 in the
Yeah, I
second
was
half. So
gonna say, yeah, 3 for 7
wasn't
in the
his
second
best.
half. No, come on, we
No,
got to give him credit. It's like he'll be 7 for 7 by by 3 games from now or whatever.
Yeah, so not his best, but again, another great defensive effort, and he had 14 rebounds. Which I'd be curious to know if that's a season high for him. But yeah, Banton, I just like, man, if you can steal, if Banton could somehow be our eighth guy, which I don't think he will be, but if he could somehow be that guy that can give you 10 to 12 minutes, like this team just feels a little bit more complete, and I really like that he crisscrosses that top of the key. Like he's always trying to get into the heart of a defense. He's not really trying to score, which is, everybody's going to catch on to. But I've been corrected. Siakam season high in rebounds is 19. Um, but he's making the defense move, which is all you can really ask from him. And he's been hitting that three of late, not tonight, but of late. So it's encouraging to see Banton out there kind of producing.
Yeah, it's nice to have a guy like with an attack mindset that's not necessarily just a scorer. Like it's important to have guys who are going to bring rim pressure and are playmakers. Like there seems to be like, Chris is just a scorer, no rim pressure at times. And then you have like, Scotty gets in periods where like he's all rim pressure, and frankly like lacks a creation from like, that you'd expect. Although he had a couple good moments tonight. Um, I gotta say, Oren, you misspelled. You got the blue check, and he misspelled Delano. Can we strip him? Can we contact Twitter and get rid of his verification? What's going
I
on
can
here?
probably message him right now.
What's going on? I'm okay. Okay, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought.
I just messaged him. He's going to come on with vengeance. Um,
Delano Gate.
yeah, I agree. um, Precious did have one of those games, and it's funny. Like it is, he's he's not often going to impress you with his awareness. It's going to be his athleticism. But really, man, his defense is like it has become something else. He got the Rising Stars nod today, and I think the big hullabaloo is that Okongo didn't get it or Vassal
Yeah,
didn't get it. Yeah,
that
shout out to
that seemed
fucking Clorox, man. I tweeted that. I'm just like, at some point you've got to not take the money in the fact that there's got to be another sponsor that's paying you a little bit less. That's not a cleaning supplies. Like how sellout does that look?
wait. Precious has a Clorox sponsorship.
No, the Rising Stars is
Oh,
sponsored by
oh,
Clorox.
what?
I know.
Wait, what? Like Sprite wasn't available? What's going on? I don't understand. Like that's
Oh, Oren just misspelled chemistry on his Twitter.
no. Can we get this guy fired? Come on, guys. Let's come on. Um,
Um,
I,
so
I
anyway,
actually,
so sorry, what I was going to say is Precious is in the Rising Stars game. Good for him. He deserves it. Okongu, I don't think deserves it just by virtue of not enough games played over the last 2 years. And then Vassal, I haven't followed to the
he's good. He's
greatest
really
detail.
good.
But Precious deserves this for his defense. Like he's a legitimate like NBA bona fide defender that can play four positions quite easily. Um, and he's if he can continually do that and not be an idiot. Am I saying Vassal? Vessel. Vessel.
Vassell.
Vassell.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sasha. I feel like I'm Sahal. Um, and anyway, we saw that on display tonight. The only play he kind of effed up on is he was like, Bam was like 20 feet outside of the hoop, and Precious was like on his hip, and Bam just ripped right by him. It's like, dude, you got it. But again, that's kind of the awareness piece of this that he lacks.
While we're on defense, we ought to mention Pascal. I mean, he's had like a ridiculous stretch here, and like really those switch. I'm shocked that they didn't go to him as a primary defender on Bam more often. Like I get that he doesn't have the size, but he performed pretty well in those switches, and it's weird that Miami was so eager to like attack uh, Pascal in the pick and roll because it's like they're just going to switch, and if you want to attack that Bam on Pascal matchup, go ahead. But like Pascal's pretty good as a defender, like at least in those switch situations. It's not obviously you don't want him doing it for 40 minutes a night. That's going to kill him.
Yeah, and
He's just not,
I. By the way, when I was thinking Vassell, I was also thinking Vaseline. So
Vaseline. You could
Um,
honestly, Vaseline would have been a better Rising Stars, even better
oh, I
than
would have been
Clorox.
so down for a Vaseline sponsor, Rising Stars.
Yeah, I mean Clorox
And then
as
you could
well.
do like smoothest or like lubiest
Shiny.
player of the
I might have
game.
gone
All right, I'm
shiny.
getting off it. I think Pascal's in foul trouble early. Probably didn't want to burn him out on Bam, but I mean Pascal's our best player defensively. I think OG in a one-on-one setting with a particular type of player is our best defender, but Pascal versatility-wise, like high floor, is probably our best defender, and especially on team defense. Like this is just incredible D.
Yeah, him like sort of hanging out at the nail there is like so
Deadly.
problematic for offenses.
Yeah.
He's just everywhere. Like he's helping everywhere and he plays really good individual defense. So you're right. In a one-on-one game, I guess I'm taking OG, but like in a team defense setting, I think Pascal is probably first team all NBA team defense at the level he's playing right now. And frankly, like um he wasn't like that to start the year. And as his defense has evolved, so his offense has kind of come back. And you can tell he's that type of guy. He's like an energy. He's like a um, momentum type of guy. Like they get stops. This whole team is a momentum type of team. Like they get stops and they run. Pascal, when he's engaged defensively, he has incredible motivation offensively.
Every fan base feels that the referees jobbed their team. How do you feel about that tonight?
I did think tonight was a little weird, but like I wouldn't say again. I don't know. Whatever. Like, fine. Okay. Early tonight it was bad, but we can't say like this every night. We have to check ourselves as fans. Like there were nights we were losing like 20 to the Pistons, and being like the refs fucked us over. Game was over from the first whistle. The refs screwed us. It's like no, they lost the
Silver
Pistons.
got what he wanted.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, tonight I actually think it's fair, but otherwise.
I think it was fair first half. The first half was really bad. Man, I cannot stand a referee that literally sits like waits to see if the ball goes in the
Yeah.
hoop and then call it. So I understand there's like refs reconcile situations, right? Like the ball doesn't actually go off of you, but you fouled him, so we're gonna say the ball goes the other way, right? Like I'm okay with making those kind of like subjective decisions, even though it's objectively not the right call. But you can't just sit there and deliberate on whether it's a foul or not based on whether the ball goes in the hoop. First of all, it looks bad on you as a referee, and second of all, it's either a foul or it isn't. And like it's just really frustrating when that happens. I do think that I didn't think that was a charge either. I think it was Gary ran into I can't remember now. Struess maybe sliding in, and I watched the exact same
I
play
thought it was
yesterday.
I thought it was Pascal. There was one in Pascal late in the game where he's
No,
kind of
this was
spun into
early.
PJ.
This was early. And the same thing happened last night. Curry drove and Garrison Matthews kind of like slid in, and it was called a blocking foul, and Garrison went totally ape shit. And I think it was the right call. And the exact same thing happened tonight. And because it was PJ Tucker, I'm pretty sure I think who took the charge, they call it. Like, I don't know. I did find the first half was kind of bogus, but it did even out. We got a lot of jump shooting foul calls called for us, which are just
Yeah, it
killed
felt like
Miami in the second half.
the biggest one was Gary at the end of the game. They're getting fouled by Bam. Was like that was kind of a bailout of like a pretty bad possession and whatever. Also, the Jimmy
Yeah.
Butler, that wasn't a flagrant. He's just kicking his foot up. He made the
Yeah.
shot. It's hard to say like that's not a basketball motion. I mean, he made the shot. It'd be different if he like kicked Chris like that, then missed by 10 feet. Then you could be like, oh, it's not a basketball motion.
No.
But
Yeah, the tip kick was incidental. I think it's just unfortunate. Some things are hanging where they're not supposed to.
no film. We can't. No, we're not going into
Can't do
film.
film, and still YouTube hates us. But apparently we're getting closer to approval. So soon we'll be doing film. Let's do that out of timeout play. Yeah. Yeah. Fuck you, YouTube.
They can't.
Um, oh, this is the end of gameplay. So this is a cool little play. Like they double screen high for Freddie, and then they double screen again for Gary. No, sorry, other way around. They double screen for Gary and then double screen for Fred. And then Bam just gets stuck with the one with two guys, and OG makes a great read.
Yeah, I'm wondering if this is actually the design or if he just slips it like as a sort of an audible. Because I'm sure they talked about OG as the option to slip that. Um, but he's looking for the ball like pretty
Yeah,
early.
he
So I think
is.
it might even be like he's sort of acting like he may or may not slip and does it, and it's drawn up to be a slip the entire time.
Yeah, and he does a
Either
nice
way,
little seal there too.
that's just like Nurse, for all the criticism we give him about the minutes, is very, very smart with those like sideline out of bounds and base those slobs and blobs, those sideline and baseline out of bounds. Like
Yeah, Samson's obsessed with that blob play,
he's
but
really, really good at
it
drawing
does
that
work
up.
every single time. That like where Freddie like inbounds the ball and then they just down screen him in the baseline and he hits the three. Um,
So then that kind of indicates that wasn't the play call if it's a gutsy pass.
yeah, totally.
But it's nice to see OG and Scotty like developing enough chemistry to riff off of what Nurse is calling. Like they haven't played together for very long. That's like the type of thing you'd expect from like Lowry and OG type thing, but not necessarily OG and Scotty.
Yeah, and this kind of highlights why Scotty's so dangerous too, which is like what Nivri's pointing out is him as the inbounder is like when you're 6'9" and you're creative and quote unquote gutsy as a passer, like I mean you see what Jokic does to teams, and Scotty's obviously not Jokic, but it's so advantageous to have that line of sight that few players can have. Like Freddie probably couldn't have made that pass just because of the way Bam was in front of OG. Or he probably, I mean, he could have made it, but it's just more difficult. So yeah, it's pretty cool to see. Or it's just cool to see Scotty Pat like that kind of passer.
Can I ask? This is like a little bit off topic, but like, can I get your opinion on those Heat jerseys? Because to me, they're the most atrocious jerseys in the history of the league. I think those are the ugliest jerseys I've ever seen.
The only ones that are worse than that, I think it's the font that pisses me off.
It's the
Right? It's like
font because I like the Miami Vice one,
love
but the
them,
font is just like, what are they going for? Yeah, it's the
but
serial killer letter jerseys.
Brooklyn's is worse. Have you seen Brooklyn's? It
They're like
Brooklyn's
city version.
looks like you're on your iPhone and you hold down the letters and you get the like different language letters. It looks like whoever designed it just like went on there and looked for cool, unique looking. It's really bad.
Okay, I'm gonna find it. Here you
Right.
go. You
Doesn't
can move
matter. It's
transition
off
to the
topic.
next thing, or does Chris
Uh,
have it? We can move on. I'm finding it though. It's for my own personal
those
play.
aren't even honestly. Find the Brooklyn Net ones. They're so bad, but whatever. But yeah, they're pretty ugly.
Yeah, I don't know what they were
Looks like an
going for.
M&M's M.
The Raptors ones are someone in the comments of the bedside jersey, the Brooklyn bedside jersey. The Raptors jerseys are admittedly pretty boring. Like I I'm they're not necessarily bad or good. I'm pretty lukewarm on them. I think they can do a lot more with the branding. Like they have that purple. They have the purple and red, which is a pretty unique like color combination. Yeah, that is this the one you're
Oh
talking
yeah,
about?
the parentheses. Like what's going on
Yeah,
here?
that's pretty ugly. That is not good. The herringbone background. Yeah, that's no. I'm
And
not.
like Bicklin. I don't know.
Anyway, the Raptors don't do enough with the material they have, like the content they have. Like they could have some awesome. I don't know who's in charge of the jerseys and why are they not going with the purple and red?
Well,
It's so iconic. It's perfect. Why are they choosing not to go with the purple and red?
what is your opinion on Drake?
In general, he's fine. I don't know. I wouldn't say like I'm a huge fan of his, but I don't think like I don't like hate the guy. I think he's like kind of goofy.
Okay, well, I hate him, but
Okay.
also I think that our relationship with him has inhibited the like the bring back of the dino and the purple and the stripes and everything else because we have to do OVO all the time.
Yeah, but it's not like the OVO one is particularly similar to like the red and black one. You could still have like the black and
No, but all
whatever
our alternative jerseys
gold.
are like the gold and black and the owl and whatever else.
I don't hate those. I think those aren't the worst jerseys in the world. I just think that I actually have a bigger problem with like the main Raptors jersey, like the main red or the main white. Just
Oh, okay.
boring. It's
I
just
see.
it's just boring. It
Yeah.
doesn't do anything for me. I don't know.
This also pissed me off. It's not iconic. It's
Okay,
not
fair.
iconic.
That is
When
fair.
Masai was sitting in the stands by himself as an overlord of his great creation, that was iconic. Drake randomly showing up to one game out of like a bazillion that he hasn't shown up to, not iconic. He just wants to get his attention.
I am. I'd rather meet Drake in person.
I'd rather put $5 on the ground for somebody to take than meet Drake in person.
I'm meeting Drake in person. I'm asking him for $5. You guys aren't thinking big enough.
He is abhorrent to me for so many reasons. But anyway,
I did see a funny tweet. It was like Drake looking at his phone, like with the sort of parentheses, like Masai won't stop talking about these 6'9", these tall guys. I don't know what to do, which is that was pretty funny. Like Masai's there chatting his ear off, like about tall players.
okay, enough about Drake, I suppose. I'm such a minority in this that I think it's probably I probably watch myself.
It's bad for your personal brand. I've exonerated myself, and I think I'll get an invite soon.
Before
Like,
I go to the tax man, yeah, no. Not only did he fuck it up, he lubricated his move. Shout out Vaseline. He he helped he helped Kawhi go to the Clippers. Like he totally sold us out. Also, as far as I know, he didn't once tweet vote for Freddie or Pascal. Whereas like you have K-pop stars getting Wiggins as an all-star starter. Um, where's Drake in all of this? Okay, I'm done. What do you think about that Wildcat play?
I don't know the one. Do we have film?
I don't think we have film, but that was the one at the end of the third where they have like the three guys lined up at half.
Yeah.
I've never seen a play like that before.
Those are fun. I've seen like similar like line everyone up in the back court and like get the sort of running start towards the other hoop. But that's always like end of
Yeah,
game when you're just trying to like space the floor, like get as much space on the floor as possible to get the ball in bounds and avoid like turning the ball over when you're up late in games type thing. I've never seen it called not like when losing in the third quarter. It's interesting.
I know. I maybe no pressure, Chris, but if you stumble upon it on Twitter, let us know. I'd love to film breakdown that bad boy. Taxman. I gotta find my notes on Taxman. Kyle, tell us who your Taxman player of the night was.
It has to be Gary. I think as much as I have a certain affinity for giving it to guys like that aren't the main
Yeah,
character for the night. I have to give it to Gary. Just another excellent performance. Here's hoping he keeps it up indefinitely, really. But I mean, I could definitely see him uh, like extending the streak to double digits. I hope he takes over the franchise record for consecutive 30-point games. I hope he takes over the NBA record for consecutive 30-point games with 5+ threes. And I think he actually probably is pretty close. It's
is
closer
he
than you might think.
in this 5 game stretch? Is he a top 5 NBA player?
Still no. I mean, well, it depends. Like what he's constantly playing at this level. Even then, I would hesitate to say yes but is he a top 5 NBA scorer? Maybe. I don't know. It's
You
too hard.
know, Neeraj Varma. He writes for
Mhm.
Raptors Cage. Uh, uh, he said, which I like him a lot, and he writes good stuff. But he's just like straight up. What did he say? It's like straight up Gary's top 5 player. It's like there's something about the way he scores that doesn't make him a top 5 player. You know, it's just like every time he scores, I'm just kind of like, okay, I didn't think that was going to go in. It's not like watching KD. I mean, obviously he's not a top 5 player, but it's just kind of interesting. Like this feels like it's not real. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like we were talking about it. It's just fun to watch. Like I just like watching him play basketball more than even um like okay, KD's like an objectively better player, but he's not as fun as Gary. Like KD is like killer, whatever, like off of pin downs, like mid range little pin down stuff. Like that's not fun. I want to see a guy like take 10 plus dribbles and like put up a ridiculous shot. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think part of the fact that I don't know if it's going to go in every time, and I'm like
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
like
like,
gambling.
"Ooh," when he shoots it. That's the thrill. That's the thrill you're looking for. Okay, so Gary Trent Jr., congratulations. I think you're on a Can-Am Taxman of the Night streak, which is more important than your 30-point scoring streak in my books. Um, uh, Zarar shared a photo of Vijay Verma, who runs Can-Am Tax Services, and he's a big Raptors fan, big time. So go use his services, support him. He's a small business. They do accounting and taxes. They're experienced. They're friendly. Um, they can help you with whatever tax situations you got, whether you're a small business or you're an individual. Tax season's coming up. Um, they can get you the refunds you're entitled to. If you have any questions about your personal taxes, you can reach out, say we sent you. I'm sure he'll hook us up with some extra dough if you tell them so. You can find them at canamtax.com and check out their Google reviews and see what they're all about. Gary Trent Jr., congrats for being the Can-Am Taxman of the Night.
Now I will say, like we are able to listen into the press conferences if we wanted to. So if that's something you guys are interested in, let us know and we can like we can be the peanut gallery for the Nick Nurse
Let's do it.
press
Let's
conference,
see if it's
something
still
of that
going.
nature.
Let's try it out.
Oh, and
No,
our
we're not
producer
doing it
is saying
tonight.
we
No,
can't do it.
no. Chris is out on that. Okay, next time.
No, he hasn't specified whether it's a personal decision or if it can't be
Yeah,
done. But either
we
way, I
you
guess we're
don't
not
you
doing
don't question Chris's preferences.
it. No,
We might have
no,
missed it. It might have been too late already. I'm not sure.
it is.
Um, oh, he doesn't want to figure it out tonight. Come on, Chris. Your reaction time is so fast.
Chris, every word that comes out of my mouth, we're figuring it out as we're speaking. Okay,
Yeah,
I have to figure out like 20,000 things a night.
nothing I say is coherent. Okay, that's fine. Why don't we jump to questions? We're already at 42 minutes. So, listeners, also, you guys are talking about the YouTube thing. We got in trouble because we were posting NBA stuff live, which apparently is not an issue if you post it later on. So we're trying to figure that out right now, and that's why we're not on YouTube. If
And
anybody's
this
wondering.
show will be posted on YouTube afterwards. And as long as we're streaming, it'll be on YouTube in its entirety afterwards, in case you guys
Yeah,
miss it, or in case you want to rewatch it. Who knows?
God help you if you do, but also that's great. Questions. Rap should be in the buy market evident. Yeah, we already kind of talked about this. I think we're both in the buy camp. Kyle?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure if I'm necessarily in the buy camp as much as I am in like the don't sell Chris Boucher camp, which is it's like halfway between the buy camp and the sell camp. Like I'm square in the middle of those two camps, but I just don't think that it's not the type of team that should be selling. That's for sure. So maybe it's like a stand pat camp I'm in.
Yeah, and by stand pat, you mean still trade Goran Dragic.
Oh yeah, get Goran Dragic, like send him. I get that whatever he's going through a divorce, but like figure your shit out. Not under contract for the Raptors.
I'm in the buy camp. I'm in the keep Boucher camp. Unless you can kind of do a tricky little Messiah thing where you find Boucher light and you get an added benefit either because he's in a longer contract or you get a draft pick out of it. I'm not opposed to that. I don't know that that's really out there, but that's why I'm not a general manager. What's the worst non-alt jersey? Kyle, maybe you know this better. I'm not good with.
I don't know off the top of my head. In general, I think this new style they're going for with like the chevron and just the two colors, just the white and the red, and like the lettering, it's just not for me. I don't like it. One of my favorites, and I'm not sure if it's nostalgia, but the 2019 jersey, the championship jersey, Chris, if you can bring that up. I think this is my favorite, even though it looks pretty ugly, purely based on the nostalgic purposes. But I will say, like, I don't know if it's up yet, but it has like a certain like subtlety to it that I don't think the new ones do. It's just the new ones are just a big ugly arrow. I'm not in favor of it at all.
Yeah, I'm pretty out on chevrons. I'm not a fashion guy. Although my dad did own a women's clothing store, so you'd think I would be, but I'm not. So I just know what I don't like, and I don't like Drake, and I don't like the gold like cursive writing. I'm out on it.
Yeah,
Bring back the dinosaur and the pinstripes.
Edgar is right. Those purple and black combos with the chevron are like some of the worst jerseys ever. Like,
What about the gold claw on the shorts?
I don't mind that. I like when they actually, like, in general, I like when teams incorporate some of their logos somewhere on the jersey. This this is the current year, Chris.
I
My
don't know,
favorite,
man. Stop asking me to find jerseys.
Yeah, we just asked Chris to do 1,000 things at once.
all I'm gonna say about this is, like, if you saw this jersey, what is telling you that this team is the Raptors?
I just
I'm
want to say this is not a humble brag.
But
There's
seriously,
nothing cool about this nor successful. So let's just for clarity's sake. Sorry, I'm out on the jersey. Anything retro, I'm down for. That's all I've really got. I'm not. I don't really have a hot take on this. Back to basketball. Any thoughts on the Dragic rumors? Kyle?
I just figured you'd take it. Like, rumors meaning like his personal life rumors, or the, like, he's going to be traded and bought out rumors?
Who he's sleeping with and why?
Yeah, exactly.
No, yeah, trade rumors.
I just don't. I don't know why. This is unprofessionally, but I forget who tweeted it, where the report came from. But it said something about, like, teams are inquiring about Dragic and would buy him out if they got him. What's the purpose of that? I don't get why anyone else would be interested in that unless the Raptors give up like like, naturally you take an asset to take on Dragic and then buy him out. But, like, who do the Raptors have available to them to give away? I don't understand. Like,
Well,
maybe Flynn.
Or they're offloading a contract that's worse than Dragic.
That's true. So, like, take a couple years. So maybe, let's say hypothetically, like, I guess the Mavericks wouldn't buy him out, but the Mavericks would. The big obstacle in the Mavericks trade was that the Raptors didn't want to take on Dwight Powell's salary for 2 years. They basically like bring them to basically the tax or the cap ceiling next year with his salary. But I can, like, I wouldn't hate. I don't hate Dwight Powell. He's not a bad player. The center rotation is pretty thin. And if that means they get anything of value for Dragic, I'm in for it. I wouldn't buy him out. I get that it looks really bad in your organization, but if they can't find a move by the deadline, have fun. Like, go have fun in Miami. You can stay on the payroll, but you're not going to play for a winning team. I don't care.
Yeah, the Dragic in Miami was the last straw for me too. Like, at first, I defended acquiring Dragic. I thought he'd be a nice piece. I still think he could have been if he hadn't have been such a whiny like POS at the beginning of the season and had waited until Banton hit a rookie wall and Malachi like disappeared into wherever he's disappeared to, then he would be playing right now. Like, we could definitely use 15 minutes of Dragic. But instead, he got all whiny. They made up some story about him going to Slovenia for personal reasons, and then he disappeared off the face of the earth. Like, that's like, I just lost all respect for him. And so fuck him. But I think I think him being in Miami and just chilling there is like the ultimate betrayal. Like it's just such a bad look, man. It's just like I hate when players don't get what they want and then just like when Iguodala did that in Memphis too, same thing. Like Memphis is an up and coming team, and that made him look so bad. Like they had such a good year, and he could have been an integral part of that, and he doesn't. And then you get guys like Jay Crowder or Solomon Hill who like buy in. They like double, like Pat Bev in Minnesota. Like these guys like double down and give everything they got, and like I just really respect that.
Yeah, I think it's worth mentioning. Like, I think the Slovenian press is reporting or had reported that, like during the Tokyo Olympics, they reported that Dragic, like he got cheated on. Like his wife, like he's going through a divorce because his wife cheated on him with the personal trainer, which is like,
Really?
I'm just saying, how much juice does the personal trainer have to like be cooler than an NBA player? Like Dragic plays in the NBA. Like, how cool is this personal trainer that it's like worth cheating on your NBA husband for?
Well, I think if you can, well, based on his loyalty, who knows? It is. He probably left his wife at home and then went, and then she saw him like at some other matter. I don't want to get
Other woman's practice facility.
Yeah, exactly. I was trying to figure out the analogy. Okay, but yeah, buyout options. I'd be interested. I would keep an eye on Utah now that they've lost Ingles. I've been kind of playing around with the trade machine because Ingles was their backup point guard. He was no longer really the defensive wing guy that he once was, and so I think like a lefty backup point guard to play behind Conley would make a lot of sense. And I keep pushing the Utah to Utah thing, and I just think like those two guys make a lot of sense. Salary's a little bit harder to work, but stay tuned on Thursday. I have some ideas, so that would be one place. But yeah, the buyouts would just be that like some other team has like a worse contract that they're trying to get out of, and Masai takes it because we could probably use a guy who's willing to be in Toronto and then get an extra piece for it.
Yeah, and the reality is that they're not doing much. Like after the Gary extension kicked in, they're not doing much free agency next year anyway. It's like, what are you going to be hampered in free agency? Fine, like you're not couldn't do anything this year either. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Edgar had a good point. Like, they're going to find someone that is going to show up and basically be playing for a contract next year on a team that's going to be in the playoff hunt or in the playoffs, and he's going to get a lot of minutes because like the 10th and 11th guys on decent teams are like 7th and 8th guys on this Raptors team. It seems like.
I know it is quite a value prop. It's like come here and you'll get 15 minutes, no brainer. We do have plans. So we're going to do Thursday, maybe 2 Eastern or 2:30 Eastern. We're going to do a live trade talk. I think Lou Zatzman is going to join us. And then we're going to do a trade We're going to do a trade deadline special as well. That'll also be live. So we'll be reacting to that and everything that goes on with that as well. So stay tuned. We'll let you guys know. More questions, thoughts on the zone troubles. Edgar, is that defensively or offensively?
He said let it fly. I assume like meaning let the shots fly. So like on offense. I don't know what, like it's hard to say without really getting into like film. But in general, I'm fine with shooting like more aggressively against the zone instead of trying so hard to get the specific matchup you want and get like sometimes it's like just forget getting like to the nail and breaking up the zone, etc. Like just let the ball fly. I'm with you, Edgar.
Yeah, I'm not as worried about our zone. Like we have two, I think like the weakest part of a 2-3 zone is that high post. And we have two guys that are like optimal high post players. One is Pascal, which we all know, and two is Scotty, which is like he's like a sentinel that can just find at the corners. So I think it's like they're gonna practice it more and more as they go along because they know teams are gonna be scouting them this. this way, and I think the more accustomed they get to it, the better off they'll be, especially when we have now 4 shooters who can at least kind of hit those corner threes on some kind of regularity. Like, I think over time, the zone will be to our advantage. Maybe that's a little too optimistic. I don't know.
Well, I mean, like they'll just play their way out of it if it is to their. I mean, the zone defense is not here to stay against any team in the NBA. Like it's just NBA offenses are way too accustomed to or way too equipped to handle the zone. So, I mean, ideally, like the Raptors see zone a couple times and break it immediately, but even now they play their way out. Like they play defenses out of zone.
Is this the bench in a zone? Is that what you're asking, Edgar? Yeah, well, the bench in anything is a shit show. So, I mean, yeah, it is a problem.
Yeah, there's no phase of the game in which the bench excels.
Yeah, but Banton in the last, I don't know if he shot a 3 tonight, did he? No, he didn't. Banton's like 4 for 10 in the last 4 games from 3. So, I mean, if that's a thing, that's potentially a thing. You could also run him in the high post. I actually wouldn't hate that, but I don't think they ever would. But
I also
yeah.
think like part of the high post is like there has to be some threat of like doing any sort of like basket, like any sort of rim pressure to the high post, backing someone down, etc. Like I don't know if Banton. I don't think. I mean, we saw Chris Boucher struggle to back down. Was it Gabe Vincent tonight? Like some of these like long, skinny guys. It's like I don't want to see them in the post ever. It's just an embarrassment.
But Boucher literally is the highest center of gravity in the league, and Gabe Vincent's probably one of the lower ones. So the hilarious thing to watch. I also think Champagny can do a lot of damage on the baseline offensive rebounding because that's kind of his bread and butter, and the zone is a porous rebounding space. So that's 2 ways in which the bench can contribute. But yeah, generally the zone would work really well against our bench. Type in every bench non-big 24. Yeah, we need a veteran guy. And this is why I like Dragic. We needed a veteran guy to carry our bench. We needed an old man to go out there and like keep the youngins like, under control and help them excel and enable them. And there are lots of examples in the league where guys do that. And Dragic just totally crapped out on us. And like, I'm pissed about that. Yeah, I mean, this is a good example. He is clearly a.
No, he doesn't play even. He's just hanging out.
Yeah, well,
he's on a pension
people.
plan.
He's an enforcer, but he's a mentor, and that's exactly it. And we have an interesting thing where like our young guys are also our oldest guys are young guys who are also mentors, which is quite a rare dynamic. And I don't know that we need a veteran now, but it couldn't hurt. Definitely couldn't hurt, especially if we're pushing for the playoffs.
And I just, with Haslam, to be fair, he did take pay cuts when the Heat were competitive and is being rewarded because he should not be on an NBA roster, is being rewarded with like a vet minimum every single year for the rest of his life type thing because he decided to take pay cuts. And that's what Pat Riley does.
Yeah, it's weirdly that they'd rather pay him the consulting fee via the 15th spot as opposed to just being a consultant. I don't really understand that, but whatever. I mean, there is a demonstration of loyalty there that like players do keep an eye on, and I do dig that. Like Pat Riley does do his guys right, and I do appreciate that quite a lot. Noted DeLon Wright quickly. We watched him go 1 for 7 yesterday against us. We don't need another tall point guard who can't shoot. Banton basically is DeLon Wright. No thanks. Sorry, Matt. But I'm down for other ideas. Okay, I think that's it. We're unless anybody has any other questions, we're gonna sign off here. Games Thursday, Friday, Chicago and Atlanta, and then Charlotte on Monday. It's like we're just on repeat with these with the schedule. I won't be here Thursday, Friday. What about you, Kyle?
I think I will be here at least one of the 2 days. I want to say about the repeat schedule though. Fun. I like it. This little Heat series, what it's been like 3 and 5 games, 3 and 6 games, something like that.
Yeah,
it feels like that's like makes for entertaining. Like, you really get into them. It's almost like a playoff series. You really get
Totally.
into like specific matchups. You
Yeah.
can see adjustments game over game. It's like in baseball, they play those 2 or 3 game series against one another just for scheduling purposes. I think the NBA should go to that. It is
Yeah.
actually like a superior way to watch basketball. It's just like teams play each other twice and we see where they go.
Yeah, and hockey had to do that last year because of, not that I watch hockey, but they had to do that because of the Canada-US thing. And like, yeah, it builds rivalry. I'm all for it too. Miami's a playoff game anyway, but then you have them almost back to back. Like that's fun, and you build animosity when like PJ Tucker keeps fucking grabbing your shorts over and over again in a 3-week period. Like you don't forget, and like you hold that residual anger. So I'm here for it too. What are you predicting in the next 3?
2-1. I think they
Ooh.
yeah, I think they could. Well, they'll beat Charlotte on the road. I just don't think Charlotte can lock up defensively, whether they're home, whether they're away, whether they're like, playing the Monstars type thing. Like they just cannot play defense. And we saw what happened against Atlanta. I thought it was a good showing. They'll be home. And I don't know what this is.
Okay, here it is.
I'm
This
pretty
is the
sure the
play.
other one was OKC.
This is the
Oh,
play.
let's go. Chris, it took him only an hour.
Yeah. This is the Wildcat play. I've never seen anything like this before. Also, because they're dribbling it out, it's not even like it's literally a football play.
It wasn't a slide line out of bounds. It was like that was a set.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
It worked. Hell yeah.
It did work. Man, this might take us too long. Thanks, Chris. That was wonderful. Well, maybe we'll break that down another time. But yeah, that was quite the play. Nurse has been chomping at the bit to bust that out. I'm calling 2-1 too. What the hell? Why not? I think maybe we beat Chicago and then take Charlotte.
And then after that, I see, they'll beat OKC, they'll beat Houston, it'll be close with Denver. Denver's obviously, they have the guy, but they're like, a little banged up. And New Orleans is a win, and Minnesota is a toss-up. I think this could be a nice little stretch, like a 700 stretch here.
We're like 5-6 games out of second.
Let's go. 5-6 wins coming up.
Why the hell not? We win them all. All right. Good night, everybody.